Hello and welcome to Finally Replying to Old Comments, Part 16. And time to get right to the comments from Part 15. Night of Your Life left a comment. I'm going to skip the song because remember how you used to hear the song on the radio too many times and you would hate it, whereas at first you might have just been okay or not cared? Well, I don't want to make anyone hate it if they don't already. So, Night of Your Life said, try looking at Harold Shipman. He murdered about 250 old people. Right, Harold Shipman, a doctor who murdered his patients and fudged with their wills and who they left their fortunes to. So, the hilarious thing about murderers and what we're about to find out is especially hilarious about Dr. Harold Shipman is that murderers think that they are above or superior to their victims. That's why they murder them. They think they're saying to their victims, your life does not matter as much as mine. So I'm just going to end your life and take from you the thing that I want. And what's hilarious about that is what murderers are really saying to the rest of the world is they can't compete with their victims. They can't earn what their victims have in a cooperative way. They are inferior to their victims. They don't have the intelligence to work at getting the thing that they want. They don't have the patience to gain that intelligence through experience. So they just resort to the lowest common denominator of pushing a button to turn off their life and stealing it from them, proving that they are forever below their victim as a human being. No matter what their IQ is, no matter what their education is, in the case of Dr. Harold Shipman with his PhDs and his private medical practice, no matter how much of a loser any of the 250 victims were, Dr. Harold Shipman is more of a loser than they are. All 250, mostly elderly women, can forever look down upon Dr. Harold Shipman. So that's what I have to say about Harold Shipman. Next comment from part 15 of Finally Replying to Old Comments is from Kate M, 1472, who said, no need to respond. You're doing a great job. Super insightful. Appreciate you, heart. Thank you, Kate M. Katem or Kate M? Okay, so getting back to the meat of the matter, which is where we left off on the old comments, his master plan revealed, part 7. We are almost done. And we left off at a long one from Sonia Marie Alves de Mello. And again, as has become the rule of thumb with Sonia Marie Alves de Mello, I'm going to read it word for word instead of trying to interpret, because honestly, I don't always know what is to be interpreted from these comments. So you can make up your own mind, and I'll try to reply at the end. Although there were 12 replies to this comment from Sonia Marie Alves de Mello, so I think a lot of people were feeling the need for Sonia to explain a little further, or at least more concisely rather than further. I don't think the amount of words was really the issue. It was the concisiveness. Anyway, Sonia, the psycho, all caps, was in a rush, so he murdered Shanann just before living. First the kids, after Shanann. Could be Bella wasn't dead. Could be, but I dolt these possibility. There was no noisy in the kitchen, in the house. Otherwise, neighbors would wake up and no kids would go quite to a car with a mum dead. They would definitely make noises. There was no kids in his arms or walking to the car. Just bags. Shanann plain delayed his plans. That last line kind of sounds like a line from a Bob Dylan song. Shanann, plane delay, the latest plans. How does it feel? Anyway, back to the comment. Shanann was killed while sleeping, so was the kids. He is too coward and is a passiva violent. He does not confront as he is a coward to talk and solve the issue. Coward to talk and solve, yeah. That's the thing where I remember that happening in when I was in college. I would tap a lot with my fingers. It was just like a thing I did automatically. No one had told me how annoying it was until I was in a completely silent classroom with 30 people. We were all taking a test, and in the middle of me doing this without thinking about it, not thinking it was bothering anyone, the guy next to me just slammed the table and got up and found another seat. And no one said anything after that. And I think that guy, much like myself, was emotionally immature, much like myself at the time. I've grown since then, and hopefully he has too. But he should have led with, uh, dude, could you stop that tapping? It's distracting me a little bit. He never led with that. He just went right to anger. Like he kept it inside until it built up enough to where he reacted in an angry way. Instead of starting, and that's kind of what Sonia is saying here about how he was. Oh man, did I forgot? Oh yeah, he was a coward. He didn't talk and solve the issue. I'm not saying that guy was a coward. It's just that when you're emotionally immature, or even when you are emotionally mature, sometimes you want to avoid the confrontation, and it builds up until you're so angry that you no longer fear the confrontation, and then it comes out as anger. Chris is and was emotionally immature, and that is how it built up. He held it in so much that his angry outburst, unlike that guy just slamming the table and moving and changing seats, Chris's angry outburst was unfortunately a familicide. Familicide? I'm mispronouncing words all over the place, but I only have time for one take, so let's keep going. Continuing on, he was going to finish it in the evening, pack a bag, use Shanann phone to respond, getting them out, etc., and report they missing the next day. He wants to be a hero, keep Shanann house, the proceeding, no more bills. A free man, financially better off than before he married. Remember, the house was Shanann, in his name, but hers, only because he let it be hers. It was financially his, but he allowed her to make all the financial decisions. It wasn't her fault. It wasn't her bullying him into it. It wasn't her manipulating him into it. It was his decision to allow her to make all the financial decisions. But anyway, moving on, once paid the bank, he would have lots of money that he did not make. The gigolo go after successful women's. Well, I don't think Shanann was that successful when he went after her. She was actually at the lowest point of her life, and I think that's why he went after her, is because he saw a weakened deer that would be easy to get. He wouldn't have that, even though she did reject him kind of a lot in little ways in the beginning, according to the accounts of their early relationship. Even though a lot of it seems like playfulness. And by the way, if she's rejecting you that much, move on to someone else if it bothers you that much. But he, like you said earlier in the comment, couldn't confront the thing that was bothering him, so he held it all in until it blew up with a familicide. Moving on, the oil would come out. Oh, the tank, perhaps, was he panicked? Yeah, I think that was kind of a plan B or a last resort, was putting them in the tanks. And the grave was too shallow. Yeah, he admitted to that, where he said the hole was not as deep as I originally thought. What was him thinking? Unless the oil disintegrated the bodies, the oil would come out in diapher away less. He was looking to dig the body out next way and burn it with Shanann to ashes, as there are no other explanation. I went into that in part 15 of his master plan revealed, explaining why he brought the gas can and why he put them in the oil tanks. And this is only part 7, so hopefully that answered your question later on there, Sonia. Imagine the smell that eventually would come out from the tanks. It's absolute madness. The gay is definitely mental, psycho. I think you meant the guy. I have not seeing one picture for the birthday party. Opposite the house would be the last one of the kids alive. If there das such a party, perhaps he killed them straight after the party. I just went into that in part 14 of Finding and Replying to Old Comments from your previous comment, Sonia, that there is a little bit of evidence, podcast interview with the parents who threw the party, and there is a picture, and they actually talk about the picture from the party of Chris with Celeste and Bella at the party. And of course, as I alluded to, that could all be faked, but it still doesn't explain all of Chris's behavior that I've analyzed in my 8 hours of covering the crime. Is all his behavior doesn't get explained away if by the babysitter's family hiding something. So I'd be open to the fact that it was all faked and they were involved somehow. It's just that Chris's behavior kind of undermines any other conspiracy theory that points away from him. He looks like the number one suspect and practically admits to it in many ways. So many hours before Shanann arrived, before he sent the doll picture to Shanann. Remember, he is a psycho. Yep. Yeah, the doll picture where he tried to say it was Shanann and it was really him sending it to her to freak her out because he was riding high at that time. Like, no one's on to me. I'm going to get away with it. I can't wait. And there were, once again, 12 replies to that, but I'm not going to go through those. But a lot of people had a lot to say about that. Okay, moving on to the next comment finally. Just 2 more quick comments and then we're done with part 7 finally. I think it's gone across like 6 videos now. A lot of good comments though. Wanda Patterson said, great analysis of that pathetic monster. Thanks. Thank you, Wanda Patterson. Rosemary Kennedy said, Watts felt justified in murdering Bella and Celeste because they had expensive health problems that made it difficult for him to afford nice things. What a prince! Noting your irony, yep. Impossible for him to afford nice things. That's the thing about how they were practically bankrupt. They were bankrupt, and then they were always living check to check, even with all their expenses. Like they were living way above their means. And that wasn't Shanann's financial foibles. That was, as much as Chris was like putting all of the financial burden on Shanann, letting her make all the decisions, we saw what he was doing with his mistress. He was spending as much or more as Shanann on his mistress. So it's not like he was any better. There was that lawnmower, was it a motorbike? He sold something to a friend while he was still making payments on it. So that's what he did as a single man with his finances. And then as an adulterer, he was spending more on his mistress than Shanann was spending on the family. So for anyone who has the criticisms for Shanann's out of control spending habits, Chris wasn't any better. So moving on now, finally, to part 8 of his master plan revealed, the comments section. Anaz575 says, Hi, Michael. I often wonder why did the sniffer dogs not detect the smell of the dead body of Shanann? Yeah, I did not see that reported anywhere. Chris did do a lot of cleaning up. Remember, as soon as the murder was done, Bella came in at some point, either while it was happening or right after he was done. He wasted no time wrapping her up in a sheet, taking her out to the car. He did laundry that day the sniffer dogs, I guess I forgot. I can't answer that right. I forgot what time the sniffer dogs, were they there the afternoon of or the next day? I think it was the next day. So he did have that afternoon. All the cops were in his house the day that they were all reported missing, the day after in the afternoon. So he was cleaning up that day. They found the evidence of him cleaning up and it made him look guilty, but he was still cleaning up. And that would explain why the sniffer dogs didn't find anything. Dogs are flawed too, just like humans. Anaz575 also says, Love you, Michael. Thank you. You don't know me and... Oh, Kitty! No, Kitty! Kitty, get out of there! All right, sorry about that. She's been trying to do that through like 60 videos now, and she finally succeeded. But let's just keep going. Let's keep going. Um, I don't know you and you don't know me, but I'm guessing that's just based on my content, and it's your desire to consume content is in love with my content. We can say that much, honestly. Jojo Davidson also says, "We love you, Michael. I always get a laugh out of your brilliant analysis. I'm watching the series again and it gets better." That's a satisfying thing for someone who fancies himself a storyteller to hear, is that someone wants to return to their story. It's really, I'm telling the story. It's everyone has their version of the story that's covered the case. And it's nice that you wanted to return to the details that I pointed out to view the crime and the important aspects in a certain way have compelled you to return there. I tried to say it was my story, but it's just my analysis of the story. It's really the story of Shanann, Celeste, Bella, and Nico, and all of the still living victims. But I'm glad you enjoyed my analysis of their story. Midnight Rider 777. The illegitimate son of Ryan Gosling and a xenomorph, laughing face emoji. I couldn't imagine a more accurate description of CW. Also, I thought I was the only one noticing the weird mouth sounds CW makes. Where does that come from? Even when he was not on camera, you can still hear them. I wonder if it was because he was so nervous. It's just bizarre. I get we all may click our tongue once in a while, but I have never heard anyone do this. Yeah, refer back to the story I just told about, excuse me, man, indigestion, about the guy sitting next to me in the college class getting annoyed by my tapping. I didn't realize how annoying it was. I figured if anyone did notice it, my thought was they'll either enjoy the groove that I'm doing, the drum beat I'm making with my fingers, or they would join in, or if they didn't like it, they would tell me to stop. I didn't figure someone would go right to anger, and maybe Chris and everyone who does annoying things, they get to that same, I think we all do get to that same point where we don't realize that something we're doing regularly is annoying until someone tells us. That goes along with the adage that when you live alone, you go insane because no one's there to say, "What are you doing? Why are you doing that? Stop." Because we just get lost in our own minds that everything is okay and everything is justified with no one to tell us a different point of view. And Chris definitely lived in his own mind as much as he socialized with others. That whole dark side, he was never able to, as I go on into in the series, Chris was never able to bring that dark side of his mind into the light and like have it occupy a healthy space in his regular life. You have to be able to slowly let off that steam instead of holding it all inside until it explodes. You have to have a healthy relationship with your dark thoughts. And Chris, of course, didn't, and that's what happened. But that was wow, that got really far away from mouth noises, didn't it? But it was all related. Okay, I think I can end it there. We're getting kind of long here, so no, a couple more. Charlene Monique says, "I'm really enjoying your videos. I've been binge watching them, and CW sure does look like the fine actor Ryan Gosling, doesn't he? Ryan Gosling and a xenomorph, the illegitimate son of Ryan Gosling and a xenomorph, not just Ryan Gosling. But he definitely has the stone face of Ryan Gosling, unable to really show a range of emotions. I would have never thought of that. LOL, heart. Thanks for the comment there, Charlene Monique. Ashley Shelton said, "Courageous like Cece." Because this is the video where I went into how Cece was a hero to go along with how Bella was a hero. Because they both stood up to their father who was doing something uncharacteristic. They didn't understand it, but they questioned him and expected him to be who he's been promising to be for their entire lives. That was heroic of them, and they threw the first stick in the spokes of Chris's wheel of plans. So Cece was courageous, and Bella was brave, like you said in that other comment to part 4. So I'm going to end it there and move on to the next one. So have a nice day.